Probably the most notorious brothel on the side of the Rockies. No, seriously, in 1902 there were movies made about this place. It was
really?
Very Don't worry, we've swept since then. This evening we're very glad and very happy to have videographers with us that have been documenting Ray's life. And they'll be filming, and then they'll be going away with all the cameras, so don't panic if your sight lines are at the moment compromised. This is a very special evening for us. This is the opening of Ray Bradbury's Invisible Boy. Those of you who were fortunate enough to join us for the Christmas show will recognize two of the three pieces. Because of our abbreviated period that we're working around the other shows that are in the theater, we're going to just have a 4-week run of this, playing on Thursdays as well. So if you see something you like, talk it up. If you don't, tell them we're someone else. And, anyway, so here we go. We're very proud to be working with an international star, a writer of science fiction, highly lauded, with many awards. And then I found out that Doris Lessing wasn't available. Ray stepped in at the last minute. We're so happy to have him here, just at our beck and call. And Dottie, good luck. That's off my list. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Ray Bradbury.
Well, before I do anything else, I want to show you a picture. This is me in front of 20th Century Fox Studios a week ago. Fixing a goddamn studio. So the center of everything has to be writers. You cannot make a good film without a good writer. All the great films are written. So I was glad to be in front of the studio with these people. But the important thing I want to tell you about myself, what you're going to see tonight, is 3 stories that turned into plays. When I was 25 years old, a friend of mine said, "Ray, you're a coward." I said, "Why?" He said, "You're writing some great short stories, but you're afraid to send them to the magazines. You're afraid of being rejected." So I sent one story, Invisible Boy, which you'll see tonight, to Mademoiselle magazine. I sent another Martian story to Charm magazine. I sent a 3rd story to Collier's magazine. And that 1 week, when I was 25 years old, I sold a story to Mademoiselle, to Charm, and to Collier's magazine. I got checks for $200, $300, and $500. I was rich. Because all my other stories sold to pulp magazines for $15 or $20. So I needed that money. But when I got the check from Collier's, I went to the bank. I said, "I want 5 $100 bills." And they said, "What are you going to do with them?" I said, "I'm going to go to the street corner where I sold newspapers from the age of 19 till I was 23. I made $10 a week. Nobody at that corner ever believed I would be an accomplished writer. So I went to that corner that afternoon, and when the people got off the bus, all my customers from when I was 20 years old, I showed them the $100 bills. I said, "Look, Ray has got it at last." So what you're going to see tonight is Invisible Boy, which I sold to Mademoiselle magazine when I was 25 years old. And the second story I wrote about my relationship with my dog when I was 12 years old. I had to write about it, and I did. And the 3rd story, is a later development in my life. And I'd like to fill you in on 1 or 2 final things in my life. When I was 24 years old, I hadn't done very well. I had a friend of mine who was going to a psychiatrist. I said, "Can I go to your psychiatrist? I want to talk to him because my life wasn't going anywhere." So I paid $40 and went to Dr. Nielsen, a very important psychiatrist. And I sat in his office, and he said, "What's your problem?" I said, "Look, I want to be the greatest writer that ever lived." Can you imagine him going home that night and saying, "I had a nut in my office this afternoon"? He wanted to be the greatest writer that ever lived. So he told me, go to the library and read all the books in the Encyclopedia Britannica on the history of Shakespeare, on the history of Charles Dickens, on the history of Ernest Hemingway and John Steinbeck, and see how long it took for them to become writers. So I went to the library and I read the books, and I spent my time for years in the library, and I got educated. I'm not a high school student. I'm not a college student. I'm a library student. And I graduated from the library when I was 28 years old. And I began to write even more after seeing that psychiatrist. I finally sold some of the stories that became my place. So I didn't become the greatest writer that ever lived, but it ain't bad.
Oh, oh.